Well, this morning, the historic deadly wildfires in Hawaii are now being blamed for 96 deaths, and the search is ongoing. The power company there is now facing a lawsuit for not cutting electricity when forecasters warned about powerful wind gusts. The suit alleges power lines blown over by the high winds made the situation even worse. Hawaii's governor is also giving just chilling new details about what happened.
That fire traveled 1 mile every minute, resulting in this tragedy. With those kind of winds and 1,000-degree temperatures, ultimately all the pictures that you will see will be easy to understand, because that level of destruction in a fire hurricane, something new to us in this age of global warming, was the ultimate reason that so many people perished.
CNN's chief climate correspondent Bill Weir is on the ground and has learned more about the recovery efforts underway in Lahaina.
Poppy, Phil, aloha from the north side of Lahaina, just one of the several thousand structures that were completely burned and gutted by the firestorm last week here. This is the line that the fire department on this part of Lahaina held. They decided we're going to keep it here, this particular neighborhood. Most of it survived as a result. But let me show you the contrast right here. This is the home of Archie Kalepa. He is a legendary surfer, lifeguard, a Waterman Hall of Famer on Maui, a 9th generation Hawaiian family from the Lahaina area. And you can see what the spirit of ohana, or family, in the islands means, as everybody on Maui and from around the islands began flooding donations here. So they've set up a command post, improvised first responders here, all volunteers, all people from the community, and they've created several of these pods around the burned area of the fire zone. You can see all the diapers and critical supplies, the water and food, and people just coming in here, and it's sort of a self-organizing system. Archie has great leadership experience as a lifeguard extraordinaire, and it's all coming to play right now. People trust him. He does say that the state and federal response is getting a bad rap. Let me ask you about the immediate response right now. There's a perception, as we've been outside of the perimeter, that there's no federal or real official state response, and most of the work in the front lines is being done by people like you, grassroots, just improvised first responders. Is that fair? What's really happening? What do you need? And
I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair, because this is a crime scene. This right here is a crime scene. And so what people don't understand is the government has to do due diligence before they start moving in. So they're at 30,000 feet. They're looking, evaluating about how they need to come in to begin to facilitate this operation. At the same time, they have to figure out how to take care of this operation. And so, you know, that is not easy.
So it's a humanitarian response in the middle of a working crime scene.
Exactly. The truth of the matter is, when you look at the overall devastation, we are not going to be ready to allow people to see what we're living through in 6 months.
We're hearing from a lot of people outside of the sort of quarantine zone right now, the fire zone. They're frustrated because they can't get back in to see what happened to their homes or belongings. They're afraid that people up here aren't getting the help they need, that there's too much red tape in the shelters down in the center of Maui there. But those folks here say right now it's a matter of managing the outpouring of aid. They don't want a lot of this to turn into trash, so they're trying to manage it as it's coming in. FEMA is now starting to bring in shipments, we understand. So right now the message from here is they have plenty of tangible supplies. They would love to get a dust shield to protect this community from all that toxic dust that's blowing up the hillside from down below, containers to store a lot of this stuff and keep it to when they need it, maybe months from now, and they are really begging for sustainable compassion and grief. They're afraid that our attention here will run out and shift elsewhere, maybe another tragedy on our overheated planet as a result of fossil fuels. They're already starting to talk about rebuilding this place in a sustainable way that adheres to sort of traditional Hawaiian values and a balance with nature as well. So they're trying to get through this in real time. It's so striking. But like I always say, you guys have heard me say it a million times, Mr. Rogers taught us to look for the helpers when things get scary. There's no shortage of that in Maui right now. But it is key that people do this right and pay attention for the long term because there is so much here worth salvaging. It's paradise, and it can be again. Much more tonight coming up. I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks to Bill Weir for that. The head of FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell, getting a first-hand look at the devastation in Hawaii. She says only 3% of Lahaina that was destroyed by fire has even been searched.
They have gridded out the area. They use the dogs and they have the teams that go in there, but it's hot. The ground still has hot spots. The dogs can only work so long before they need a break. And so the 3% covers 3% of the grids that they have mapped out, and now they will just methodically continue to go through that. But I think one of the challenging things is many of the areas that they're in searching, there's structures that are partially standing. And so the engineers are embedded with them to evaluate the stability of that structure.
Now, one team on the ground in Maui helping displaced residents is Ground Force by Cajun Navy. Their founder and CEO, Rob Gaudet, joins us now. Rob, I appreciate your time. I want to start with what Bill was getting at there in the sense of there is a huge influx of aid, people that want to help, or at least the process of that getting in. What are you seeing on the ground in terms of what is most needed at this moment, and how do you streamline that process?
You know, I'll say what I think is most needed is patience. I agree with your previous guest, you know, down in the burn zone, you know, it's a crime zone. It's a crime scene. You know, people passed away, and you know, they need to be very respectful of, you know, those families that lost loved ones and possessions, and let the authorities do their job. So I would say patience is most needed. There's plenty of supplies here. I think the governor sent out a request to slow it down, send cash, and let the authorities send cash to the authorities and let them buy the things that are needed.
Our colleague Bill Weir, who you just heard from reporting on the ground there, talked about the hope of residents if people don't turn their eyes, right? When the news cameras largely leave, there's going to be a lot of need for a long time, and you're working to that effect to set up what is known as a safe camp. Is that right there in Lahaina for nonprofits to work out of?
Yes, ma'am. We're working on what we call Safe Camp, so that we can embed into the community with nonprofit volunteers to provide, I call it a countless range of services to those in need. Not only the victims, but all the volunteers who are going down there and helping, and the workers that will be cleaning up the debris. And, you know, hope is really the most important thing that we need, and to be sensitive to those who have lost everything and have to rebuild their lives, many of them elderly, that, you know, have to find the energy and the passion from our community to find a way to rebuild their lives. It's a difficult journey for so many people.
Rob, have you been in touch with kind of the search and rescue operations? Do you have a sense of what they're seeing, given, you know, we heard from the FEMA administrator, there's still so much that needs to be investigated, surveyed, just searched at this point?
You know, our mission isn't search and rescue, and we've been very respectful of the authorities. You know, what we're saying, you know, don't go to the burn zone unless you're, you know, a resident. And I haven't been there. We're not here to sightsee. We're here to provide long-term relief, and it's important that I think the world understands that this isn't, you know, rush. This is a marathon. It's going to be a long journey, and we have to embed and take care of those in need. And the world really, I think, needs to understand that. The first responders and the individuals doing searches are still looking for bodies. That's a really horrific thing. It's not that they're incompetent. I think it's just an enormous task. This is the worst fire in over 100 years for the for human loss, and it's a major tragedy. It doesn't need to end when the media cycle ends. It needs to continue. The crisis isn't the fire. The crisis is the human impact to the people who lost their lives.
Yeah, it's an important point to remember. Rob Gaudet, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.